We're back with Charlie Musselwhite. We're talking about Charlie moving out to the West Coast and how he quit drinking 35 years ago and many other exploits. But you know what I wanted to get into with you is the latter part of your career, and specifically I'd love to talk about the last two records you did, both the one with Elvin and your newest solo one that's doing so well. But you have worked with so many like really famous people in the last 30 years or so. I mean, between INXS, didn't you record with those guys? Mm-hmm. INXS, and particularly Cyndi Lauper, and then Ben Harper. And then the Blind Boys of Alabama. I think you got something coming up with those guys.
Yeah, we got a couple of tours coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, those were real game changers for your career, right? I mean, especially Cyndi Lauper and Ben Harper. It seems like.
Well, it got me in front of huge audiences of people that had never heard of me, and it was fun.
Yeah,
I remember with Cyndi, she would point to me to take a solo, and the spotlight would be on her. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking a solo, but the spotlight stays on her. And I'm looking out at the audience, and all the people looking at Cyndi, looking at me.
How funny.
And so finally she would come and make the spotlight follow her, and she'd stand behind me. So they had to put the spotlight on.
That's interesting. Wow. Crazy.
And but it was surprising at the reception that this wasn't a blues audience or nothing, and I wasn't a young guy, and like with Ben Harper, people just lit up when I would be playing, and Ben had me sing a few songs too each night.
Right.
And people really, really went for it. I was amazed at how much how totally they accepted me and seemed to really be knocked out by what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a blues crowd.
So do you think that has to do with the whole thing of that people just don't get a chance to hear blues harmonica as much?
I think that's a valid idea that these were people that never heard blues harmonica or they didn't really know much about blues. But I've always said that if anybody is ever exposed to blues properly, you can't help but like it.
Right.
Almost everybody likes it when they hear it.
Right.
A lot of people hear stuff that's not really blues. They think it's blues.
Right.
Like I remember one time a guy saying, "Oh, yeah, like Birth of the Blues, that's a great song. That's, well, that's a great song, but that's not really the blues." So he really had no clue what I was talking about. Yeah. And a lot of people are like that. People that think they know what blues is hadn't really heard it.
Right. Right.
So. Like I say, once they hear the real deal, people can't deny it.
Right.
You just got to hear more of that. So in that situation, a rock situation, and they hear this blues, like in some rock bands, there's some harmonica playing, but it's pretty sloppy and not really, not the real deal. So when they hear something played the way we would play it, it really opens the ears up. Right. And so it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's a nice thing that you got, that you got a break like that. I mean, and that's something I think most musicians, because blues musicians, we were talking about this in the car, we're really just want to work. That's really 90% of it. It's just we want to be able to apply our trade and,
Well, for me, it's interesting to see how I can fit into a different situation.
Right. Right.
Like with this Cuban music,
Right.
I love how, for me, it just seems so natural to go together. Blues phrasing with the Cuban song, traditional song.
Right.
Or with whoever, like doing, Cyndi did a blues album she recorded in Memphis, and the album's called Memphis Blues. And then we toured together for 2 years. So we would do some blues tunes, and then we'd do some of her hits, like Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
And you'd play on those.
Now it has a harmonica solo.
Right.
And I remember one morning we did one of those morning TV shows, like 8 in the morning or something, out in the middle of Times Square. Right. All the neon.
Oh, yeah.
And just me and the piano player and Cyndi doing Girls Just Want to Have Fun. True Colors. I really enjoyed it. Just her and I would do that as a duo.
Yeah, yeah.
She'd play, what's that, dulcimer,
Oh, okay.
and with a slide
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
too. I remember she'd say, "Nothing says blues like a fountain dulcimer." I can't really do her accent, but she's a delightful woman.
Yeah. She was real good friends with Johnny Ace. Did you know that?
I know that they knew each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they knew each other back when she first was getting
Right.
started.
Exactly. Yep.
But she's so, she can be real silly and she can get as deep as you want to get.
Yeah.
And she can also be as heavy as you want to get. I mean,
Right.
you do not want to cross that woman.
I've heard.
And I've seen her just chew people up and spit them out.
Oh, I bet.
And it's like a work of art. I just loved it. I mean, going, yes.
She's very
yes.
practiced at it.
Well, she just won't put up for any baloney, you know. And I don't blame her.
Right.
But she also has a huge heart and does a lot to help a lot of people that you never hear about.
Yeah.
She doesn't do it for
That's beautiful.
for publicity or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just right from the heart.
That's great.
She's a fabulous person.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So we're
So,
still in touch.
and that's great. You
I
guys are
got
still
an
in
email
touch.
from her just a
Yeah.
few days ago.
Good. That's great. Well, you've done quite a few albums, I mean, on Alligator, isn't that right? Over the last, 20 years or something?
Yeah, I don't know, half a dozen, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've put out records on your own?
Yeah, on the Henrietta label.
On the Henrietta label?
Yeah, that was my idea.
So
It was a good decision.
So, good name too.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, how do you decide which ones end up on a big label like Alligator, and which ones you decide to put out yourself? What kind of determines that?
Well, you know, like an Alligator really knows how to sell records.
Mm-hmm.
They have a real good distribution. They do real good promotion and around the world, and they've got the blues community covered. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And they have contacts that are real old that are still, you know, they've created a whole network.
Right.
And the people that work at Alligator have been there a long time. It's not a fast turnover there. They
Right.
all love the music. They love working there, despite.
Don't say it.
You know, I think I have a real good relation with Bruce, and I think the world of him. He's a good friend, but he can make you nuts. Bruce knows that, and it's okay. None of us are perfect. But the whole Alligator thing is really a work of the heart.
Yeah.
Labor of love.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be connected with that, and they
Yeah.
get things done, and they do them right, and they know they've been doing it long enough to really have some momentum behind anything they put
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
this last album, Mississippi Sun, they really. I was surprised at how excited they were about it.
Yeah. It's done really well, hasn't
It's
it?
been getting
Rave
about
reviews.
the best reviews I've ever
Yeah.
gotten.
Right.
I mean,
Didn't you get a Rolling Stone quote out of?
I think so.
It's
I mean,
well,
there's been
yeah.
so many, I've
Yeah.
lost track.
Yeah. And it's charted real well, as I recall.
It was the #1 on the blues charts for 2 months, or
Wow.
Living Blues.
That's
or
great.
one of those.
No, that's the radio. That's radio stuff. Yeah.
or
that's great.
I don't know how that compares to other.
No, that's really
For
good.
me, I haven't been #1 for 2 months
Yeah.
of anything anywhere.
No, that's great. That's great. And I should mention that on that album, you're playing guitar, I think, on almost every song, right?
The way that happened was the pandemic hit, and suddenly I've got all this time on my hands. I hadn't had this much time on my hands since I was a teenager or something, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm getting things done around the house. I can actually start something and finish it without having to pack and leave again.
Right.
My suitcase used to be open all the time because I was going to fill it up and leave again.
Same here.
So now I actually got to put it away.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out at the Clarksdale Soundstage, which is owned by a real good friend of mine named Gary Vincent and his wife Carol Vincent. He's a singer-songwriter, and they were in Nashville, and the whole music scene there He wrote with a lot of famous people there. And he's got guitars laying around, or I bring a guitar over and I'm just playing stuff. And one day he said, you know, I should be taping some of these songs you're playing. Yeah, sure, go ahead. So every now and then I'd tape another couple or three, I don't know. And at some point, I think Henrietta said, you know, this could be an album. And we thought, yeah, I think she's right. So then we got a local drummer and bass player to come in on some more tunes, and I thought it was okay, you know. I kind of liked the tunes. There's tunes I've been doing for a long time, just for myself or for nobody else, and sent it to Alligator to see what they thought, and boy, they wanted it.
Did they?
And their enthusiasm really made me happy. I mean,
yeah.
With that kind of enthusiasm, you know you're going to get a good service.
They're going to do a good job. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
So that's how that worked out. It just started out just spontaneous. It wasn't even a plan. It just happened because of the pandemic.
Well, I really enjoyed the choice of tunes that you did on it too. The what's the second to the last one on there?
I don't know.
You told me somebody wrote it, and I'm trying to think of who it was. Some Americana artist.
Guy Clark.
Guy Clark, right?
The Dark.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't play it the way I played it. I turned it into a blues. It wasn't a blues.
I really liked
he
it, though.
performed it.
Yeah.
With the lyrics, I liked so well.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard his version, I could see how I could adapt that to how I play guitar, and I had fun turning that into a blues.
Yeah, I loved it. And then you did a spiritual, I think, in the very end.
Yeah.
Right?
The real name is A Voice We're Told, but I used to call it something else. I forgot.
Yeah, but it's a deep song.
Yeah, I learned it with the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Yeah.
And I've done that with okay, Buster.
No comments from the peanut gallery, Buster.
I remember being with the Blind Boys of Alabama at the Lincoln Jazz Center in New York City, and we backed up Ralph Stanley.
Oh, wow.
And man,
what a show.
Wow, that was so, I remember literally getting goosebumps.
Right.
And
so he was with the Blind Boys.
He was singing solo, and the Blind Boys and I backed him up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I remember I had his biography with me. I got him to sign it, and he wasn't much of a talker. I'd say, you know that song so and so, I really like that song. He said, yep, that's a good one. You know? He was kind of a shy guy.
Yeah.
I really was glad to meet him, though.
Well, you guys are both country boys.
Yeah.
You know? The other album I really wanted to just tell you how much I love is the 100 Years of Blues record.
Oh, yeah.
Of you and Elvin, because to me that album really caught me by surprise, because I mean I'd heard you guys before, and you guys I think had already been doing the duo thing by that time.
We started out, the way that came about, we did these package shows for a company called CAMI. I forget what the letters stick, C-A-M-I. You know, they had a bus, and we'd all get on the bus, and I remember it'd be, I don't know, half a dozen of us, and we'd play in different configurations, you know. Elwood would play with the front rhythm section or something, and then I would do something, and then we'd come back and do something together. We'd sit down side by side and just do a duo, and it really went over well, and we enjoyed doing it too. And then somehow we got into doing more of that. They would book us into these performing arts centers, just me and Elvin.
Right.
And we would get somebody to back us up too, like Bob Welsh.
Like Bob Welsh,
piano or guitar.
Right.
And he's a great player, and great to have him behind us.
Yeah, Bob's a great.
It gives us the freedom to.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
great choice.
And, you know, Elvin will do a tune, and I'll do a tune, and in between we'll tell stories and just talk. None of it's planned out. We don't rehearse this stuff. You know, like I'll do a Sonny Boy tune, and then I'll tell a Sonny Boy story that might occur to me at that moment.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fun, and I've always said if you're having fun on stage, the audience is going to have fun too.
Right.
So
Right.
we do. It's as easy as falling off a log.
Right.
And we really enjoy the same music.
Yeah.
And we enjoy playing together.
You guys have known each other forever.
Yeah,
too.
we've known each other since back in the old Chicago.
Right.
days. In fact, when Elvin was playing with Butterfield before Bloomfield, I thought that was a better band.
Right. I remember we were talking about that
It was
before.
more
yeah.
of a real blues band.
More of a real blues band. I agree.
And
yeah.
Mike just rocked it up.
Rocked it
for
up.
my
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Their records were really good together.
Yeah.
Or their original, because the original recordings were just a 4-piece.
I remember I was
Yeah.
at the sessions.
Yeah.
in,
Were you
New
at
York
those
City.
sessions? Yeah.
A lot of those tunes I remember that were recorded. I'm not sure they ever got released. There's some instrumentals. And,
Yeah, they did. They did release it on a. There's an album called What's Shakin' that had some of those songs on it.
well, What's Shaking, the one I know, was like a sampler.
It was a sampler.
It had like 4 different groups
Exactly.
or something on
But
it.
they had like 3 or 4 on that.
But there was a whole lot of more stuff.
Oh, I know there was.
that
Yeah.
was not
Yeah.
released, as far as I know.
Right. No, that got released later on. There's an album, I think it's called Golden Butter, that has a bunch of the outtakes.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, it's got Too Late Brother on there by Little Walter, and
Yeah.
quite a few Little Walter songs.
Yeah, we all did a lot of little
Did a lot of Little Walter, yeah.
But I remember being in the studio there, watching them record in New York City.
Right. And it sounded good.
Sounded great.
And that wasn't, Bluefield wasn't there.
No, I mean, Mike and I used to take the Greyhound out to
Right.
New York City kind of regularly whenever we could,
Right.
just to check out the scene, see what was going on. And we knew John Hammond, and we'd call up John and see what's going on. That's how that album of his came out, So Many Roads, So Many Trains.
Right.
He
The
was,
one with the band on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Robbie Robertson on
Right,
guitar. Only
right.
then he was called Jamie Robertson.
Right. That's
and
right.
Lee Von Helm and
Yeah.
Garth and all those guys.
Yeah, right.
It was them, and Mike and I showed up and called John and see what's going on. He said, come on down to the studio.
What
We're
a trip.
recording.
Yeah.
So we went straight down there. And
That's great.
Dylan was there hanging out, and,
Yeah.
that's how that happened. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just a coincidence.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty good record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Mike heard Robbie play, he went over to the piano.
He was a little intimidated, huh?
I guess. Well, it was better to have piano than another guitar.
Right,
anyhow.
right. But I was going to say, the Elvin album, the You and Elvin album is such a great kind of relaxed feel on it. That's what I really loved about it. Is it really did sound like totally organic and you guys didn't rehearse anything to death. You just sat down and played. And it's really got a great vibe to it in terms of you guys being able to lock in together on it.
It's just a natural fit.
Yeah.
To play together. We like the same tunes, and
Yeah.
we really enjoy playing together.
Yeah.
So it sounds good.
And like I was telling you, I mean, you mentioned the same song that I was thinking of, which was Midnight Hour Blues is so heavy.
Yeah, I love that.
So
tune,
heavy.
and
Yeah.
I love the way Elvin does it.
Yeah, he sings
really,
the hell out
it's
of it.
just real blues.
Real
You
deep,
can't,
yeah,
Can't
real
deny it. It's,
Sure is.
and he does it in a real special way, and I look
Mhm.
forward to doing that. We do it just about every night.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's play a song or two, man, if you're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay?
How about some
E,
8-bar
A,
blues?
yeah, go ahead on.
In E.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, all right. Well, Charlie,
Yes, sir.
it's been a pleasure, man.
Always a pleasure.
It's always fun to talk to you,
Yeah.
and you have so many great stories. I know you could go on for days, and I could be prying more stuff out of you, but no, I
Well,
really
we'll do it
enjoyed
again
this.
sometime.
Yeah, I love it.
Send in your questions, folks.
And send in your questions. Buy yourself a CD.
Yeah,
Don't-
Mississippi Sun. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm playing guitar on every tune
All right.
and overdubbed harmonica.
Was it all overdubbed? Did you do any rack tarp on there? Or?
Well, you know, I could play on the rack, but I could play so much better
Yeah,
without the rack.
without it, yeah.
I thought it'd be more effective. To
No, I can see that.
overdub it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a natural thing.